This drum beat is an extract taken from my book, The Greatest Drum Beats and Drum Grooves of All Time, which you can download from my website. In this video, I thought we'd take a look at one of my favourite drum grooves from the book, the drum beat from Walk This Way by Aerosmith, drummed by Joey Kramer. It's the same drum beat used in the Run DMC version of the song. Run DMC and Aerosmith did a remake of the song in the 90s, and it's the same, or the 80s I think it was. It's the same drum beat used in that version as well. So there's just basically a one-bar groove which opens the song, which as soon as you hear, you recognise the song. And we got an open hi-hat on beat 1, but I'll get to that in a second. So first of all, the right hand is going to be playing 8th notes on the hi-hat. So we're counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and all the way through the drum beat. The snare drum is played on beats 2 and 4 at the same time as the hi-hats. So the hands will be playing this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Let's take a look at the bass drum next before we get onto the open hi-hat bit, the bit which gives it its little quirky signature sound. And the bass drum, first bass drum's on beat 1, so with the hi-hat, so we have bass drum hi-hat on beat 1, then and 2. And then our next bass drum appears on the of beat 2, in between the hi-hats on the and of 2 and 3. There's also a bass drum on beat 3 as well, at the same time as the hi-hat on beat 3. So we get a bass drum in between the hi-hats on the of 2, followed straight away by another bass drum on beat 3 with the hi-hat. So let me play from the and of beat 2 to beat 3. It'll be hi-hat, bass drum on its own, bass drum and hi-hat together. So it'll be and a 3, and a 3, and a 3. And that bass drum on the is falling exactly in between the hi-hats. So if my right hand was playing this, my bass drum would be falling exactly in between. And what you've got to be able to do is to have that bass drum fall in between the hi-hats, followed by another bass drum straight after it, which falls with the next hi-hat. So you might want to practice something like this. So you're used to playing bass drums in between the hi-hats, as well as resolving that bass drum that falls in between the hi-hats by playing another one straight after it that falls with the hi-hats. I hope that makes sense. Or just practice this. Now, if you're not familiar with the heel-toe bass drum technique, or whatever bass drum technique you're using, you might find this a little bit tricky to play up to speed, because the two bass drum notes are quite close to each other. We'll be playing at this speed. So you've got to be able to play two bass drum notes quite close to each other. So you might need to work on that for a little bit until your bass drum technique's up to speed. Yeah, bear with it and you'll get there eventually, like anything you practice. There's another bass drum then on the and of beat 3 with the hi-hat. So let me play from the and of beat 2 up until the and of beat 3 slowly. It would sound like this. And a 3 and. If I keep my hi-hat steady, in fact I use my hi-hat to count me in, I'll count from 1. So let's go 1 and 2 and a 3 and, like that. 1 and 2 and a 3 and. 1 and 2 and a 3 and. Up to speed. 1 and 2 and a 3 and. 1 and 2 and a 3 and. 1 and 2 and a 3 and. Like that. So might take a little bit of practice to get you up to speed playing that comfortably. So let me play the whole drum beat for you slowly now, minus the hi-hat, the open hi-hat still. Sounds like this. 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and. Okay, now let's look at the open hi-hat part. Now the hi-hat opens on beat 1 and closes on the and of 1. So the hi-hat foot opens when you strike the hi-hat on beat 1, the first note of the bar, and of course the bass drum is coming down on beat 1 at the same time. So as your bass drum foot is coming down, boom, your hi-hat foot is coming up, up, and then the next hi-hat note you strike on the and of 1 is where your hi-hat foot closes. So imagine that's my right bass drum foot, this is my hi-hat foot. We get something that looks like this. 1 and, psht, psht, or Why do sound effects when I have a drum kit in front of me, like this? Dodgy hi-hat sounds. Try that again. Best way to practice it, in fact, doing this. 1 and open, close. Open with bass drum, close on own. 1 and, like that. It's quite uncommon for a hi-hat to be opened on the downbeat of the bar, beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, beat 4, like this. It's very rare that you'll find a song with an example of this kind of placement of hi-hat opening in, but here's a good example of that. There are exceptions, but generally you tend to find the hi-hat being opened on the and of something leading into the downbeat, but this really works. Okay, so let me play the whole beat for you slowly now with the open hi-hat. 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and finally up to speed. Do 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 do. There you go. So there's the whole drum beat with the wonderful little hi-hat opening at the beginning and the more syncopated bass drum parts to the middle, a 3 and the 2 bass drum notes. One falls in between the hi-hats, the second one falls on the hi-hats. But apart from that, it's relatively simple. It's just getting those bass drum, getting that bass drum foot up to speed, which I think most people might have the difficulty with. But like I said, practice regularly, practice carefully, and be patient. And like anything you practice on the drums, you'll get there eventually with it. So have fun, and I'll see you next time.